Third down and 20.
Breaking down r/Dynasty in Twitter. The first one, Frank, you're pulling it up. r/Dynasty had a good conversation about what's the value of a contender's first.
Yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting. What is the value of a first-round pick for a win-now team in Dynasty? Not just in general, for a win-now team. This guy, blurb is on the screen, but for those listening, I'm new to Dynasty, and in my league, I apparently have different opinion on first-round picks. They have been aggressively trading them for mid-tier players, so I'm wondering if I'm overvaluing first or they're overvaluing him. And some of the examples that he gave was Antonio Brown for a 2023 first,
Wow.
Tyler Boyd for a 2022 first, and then Kirk Cousins and Cordarrelle Patterson for a 2023 first. So he kind of wanted the opinion on what the value of first-round picks are, especially contender first-round picks. Now, I think this is an interesting discussion because I am kind of the belief that contender first-round picks are somewhat overvalued, but definitely not in this case.
Yeah, I was gonna say not that much.
Like Tyler Boyd, I feel like is a dude that you struggle to trade for an early second, let alone a 2022 first-round pick. Antonio Brown, 34-year-old receiver. I understand he's good, but not worth to me a 2023 first-round pick. So, man, I kind of just wanted to talk about where you guys kind of draw the line for contender first-round picks. Clearly, we all think that these are great deals for the first-round pick, but where for you is the line for a win now first for a receiver? Let's just say.
So a lot of times, as a contender, if I'm using my first, it's pretty rare when I'm a contender and I'm trading away my first, where that's going to be the only piece I'm shipping out. How I kind of view that first is that'll be the main piece of a trade and a side thing. And if I'm trading that as a contender, I want someone who I know, okay, I can count on this person to start week in and week out of my lineup. And I treat all first that way. I'm not going to trade a first for someone who maybe is inconsistent or who I don't feel good about starting a certain week. For an example, I made a trade where I traded Elijah Moore and a contender first for McLaurin. I'm fine with using in that package where I know it's someone who I can count on week in and week out, feel comfortable starting. When you get to someone like Antonio Brown, he's going to give you good weeks, but he's not someone who I'm exactly counting on a week-to-week basis. If you feel like you're a contender, that's not the type of deal I'm looking to include my first in.
I mean, personally, for me, if you go into thirdand20.com, Frank and I have our rankings, and we kind of do break it down by draft picks, where we have each guy rated. And I think where those guys going, where he's talking about he's given up Kirk Cousins and Cordarrelle Patterson for first, I think the reason that's significant is it's probably a 1 QB league. Because otherwise, I don't think that's that.
I was gonna say that's a super flex one. That was the one that's fine.
Yeah, I have Kirk Cousins rated about a late first. I think he's. I mean, this is going to be a little side tangent. I just think he's a very underrated quarterback. I think he just produces. He'll get you that borderline QB1, high end QB2 kind of season. And that's probably what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a high end QB2 that I will feel comfortable being on my squad for the next 3 years. That's around where I'd give a late first for. Running backs are kind of tricky. They have to be someone that I feel like is going to win me the league. Last year, Jake and I did I think it was Black Friday. We were talking about what players we trade for right before the playoffs, and David Montgomery is someone that we shouted out that we give up a late first, early second for. That kind of player, the one that we think has that league-winning upside, which he panned out and did. That's about where I draw the line, I would say. I don't know if you guys feel that that's unreasonable.
Well, part of my problem with the late contender first is that the difference between 111 and 108, I think, is a lot more significant than initially realized, especially at the time of the trade. And obviously, there's no way to tell before the playoffs. Oh, this guy's pick is going to be a 108. This guy's pick is going to be a 112. Right? There's really no way to predict that, especially in the first year of a dynasty league. But I always, especially in the first year, because this guy's talking about, how do I value in the first year of my dynasty league? I love random first-round picks in the first year of a dynasty league, especially once the rookie hype comes around.
Yeah.
A, that pick is going to increase in value. B, generally speaking, after the startup, a lot of the teams are more even compared to when you're like 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and the lines are, you have teams that are clearly rebuilding and teams that have clearly been able to have some favorable moves and some favorable draft picks give them a huge value jump. So in the first year of a dynasty league, man, I'm not selling this late first unless I'm really getting a player that I like, a Deontay Johnson. I think if you really want a receiver and you're making the push, I can see the argument for trading a late first for an Allen Robinson, right? Getting a guy that you really think, okay, 2 years, 3 years, I can get some elite production out of. I think that is a great move, selling high in your first round pick. But trading him for a Tyler Boyd is just, not only is it just not a great deal because you can get a better player, you're just trading him for an illiquid player. It is hard to trade Tyler Boyd, especially come the offseason, once you have all these shiny new guys coming out in the block and you see him, he's third on the depth chart. Like, you're just never going to be able to sniff that price for him ever again.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I agree with your point about one. It's kind of, when it's your first year and everyone's so much more even, it's impossible to predict where those first end up. And second, to the person who's their first year in Dynasty, one thing that also kind of helps give you value is just, I know for us over the years, we kind of know like which players have gone in that late first range and kind of what level of prospects to expect and what kind of outcomes they can get, good or bad, like higher chances of bust there, but also the chance that they can turn to a star. So the more years you go by, and if you want to look up previous rookie drafts, that can kind of give you an idea of the prospects that kind of fall back there, both the good and bad.
But also, like, realistically, how much more is Mike Evans than a late contender first? How much more is, I mean, like I just kind of mentioned, Allen Robinson. I think a lot of people right now would accept a late first straight up for Allen Robinson, and you're just buying a player that has way better pedigree. And Allen Robinson is a dude that I'm pretty sure he's scheduled to be a free agent. He did not sign an extension.
He's on a franchise tag. He's on,
which is one of the few times where it's like that actually might massively help him.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that at the end of the day, if you're going to sell your late first, you want to buy a guy that has good enough pedigree where not only is he going to help me this year, he's going to give me another year or two of production. And you can kind of look back down the line and say, hey, I missed out on the hype, but I got a damn good player that I can start every week, week in and week out.
On our dynasty rankings, I don't know if you were looking at, I mean, I guess ours are pretty similar, but I have Allen Robinson ranked as a random year 109 and Mike Evans as a random year 108. And I think those are both good targets if you're trading away a contender first.
Yeah, I have them right around the same spot. I'm looking at my rankings.
Yeah. All right. This one's interesting. Jake's not here. I mean, I don't know if we really could classify Jake as like a Devy guy. Like, he just kind of likes college football. But with Bijan Robinson, he's someone that we've been seeing for a while now, right? Like, I've been hearing about him since end of last year, and I'm sure there are people out there who are actually in Devy who have been scouting him since high school. That's not me. That's not what we do. But Bijan Robinson has looked amazing on Texas. Like, generational, that term gets thrown out a lot, but he's on that track. Very good. Yeah, he's looked very good.
Yeah,
if you
like
follow the Campus to Canton guys, they showed they tweeted out recently a graph. I should have brought that up. I was looking for it, where like they compared his career trajectory so far to Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's right there with them, right? He's
looked very good.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna get Saquon level of hype.
So Jeff Bell on Twitter, for whom J Bell tolls, he tweeted out, which running backs would you trade right now in NFL, right, for Bijan Robinson? And a lot of the big Devy guys are saying basically none of them. Like, they'd rather just wait on Bijan. Are you guys at that point too?
So to clarify what you're saying, they want Bijan over all of those big name guys. Like, they want Bijan over Dalvin Cook or over.
Yeah, the only ones that people have been consistently mentioning are Christian McCaffrey, obviously. Yep. Okay, he's the one that you take him over. A lot of people like Swift. And then you have a couple of people. Okay, Alvin Kamara, those guys. But for the most part, most of these Devy guys would not take 5 running backs in the NFL over Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
I just think he is so young, and the running back lifespan is so short that like the younger you could get your guys, and with the kind of generational talent that we expect him to be, I understand it. Like, of course I'd trade Najee Harris, who is 23 years old and is looking solid, but not amazing, for someone that's a lot younger and is going to have a longer span in the NFL. I think not trading, I would rather have 5 running backs over Bijan Robinson, just because like you're getting the points now. We don't know what's going to happen with Bijan Robinson. Like, I think Mike Me Up on Twitter, Michael Liu, was saying like the only reason you wouldn't is because you're leveraging health. Like, you don't know what he could be in a couple of years if he has like major injury or whatnot, like Cam Akers. So there definitely are certain caveats, and situation too. Like, I don't necessarily agree that a running back on a bad team can't produce, but a running back with a bad coaching staff that doesn't know how to use them, that's something that I would be worried about. The Jags, not that James Robinson's any kind of generational guy, but the Jags have James Robinson, and we're trying to split him with Carlos Hyde. I mean, luckily they've already figured out that that's the thing. We still have Jonathan Taylor splitting stuff with Nyheim Hines. Like, there's bad
Eagles
coaching
with Sanders.
staff. Eagles with, well, I kind of like, I wasn't big on Kane Gainwell. Now we're going on a little side tangent. I wasn't big on him, but like I'm starting to like him more.
JT, what running backs would you have over Bijan right now?
Right now, CMC, JT, Swift.
JT is Jonathan Taylor, if you didn't know.
Yeah, well, is that not like a known thing?
I just clarifying.
Yeah. I think it's tough. Like Saquon, I think I'd still rather have. Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, I think I'd rather have. And after that, it starts to tail off. Then there's like the Antonio Gibsons. Alvin Kamara is I'd probably rather have Bijan.
I would rather have McCaffrey, Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, and Nick Chubb. That's it.
So yeah, you're different with me, Kamara and Swift.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. Yeah, I mean,
the only other 2 running backs I honestly would question are Javonte Williams and Dalvin Cook, but I think I'd rather have Bijan over.
The one I'm considering, and I know injury makes it iffy. I just know this isn't an injury that's really have affected athletes like long term post it, but J.K. Dobbins, I would think about.
He would be close if
assuming he comes back healthy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I forgot about J.K. Dobbins for a little bit.
I think I discounted him too much because of the injury, and I'm kind of mad at myself for it. But I would 100%, 1,000% trade Gibson for Bijan Robinson.
Yeah,
that is a no question for me. Like, once we get down to him, Derrick Henry, even Aaron Jones, and I love Aaron Jones. I
would trade him for. I would trade him for them.
Yeah,
it is weird though, because like he doesn't come out this year, so you still have
it's 2024, right?
2023.
2023.
You have 2 NFL seasons before we see Bijan Robinson. So I don't know. It got time does take a.
The other thing too, though, that might be a bait is that Sark is going to use his running backs in the passing game way more, and honestly, I think better than a lot of other coaches will. I think the first example you saw is Najee Harris. I mean, you just saw how much more of a threat Najee Harris was vertically down the field than he has been with Pittsburgh. Now, that might be because the Pittsburgh offense is terrible and they can't block about anything. They did all right against the Packers. It was getting there. It's still not where it needs to be. So maybe they just can't, but I think that might be somewhat of a bait, is that Sark is just more willing to use his running back in the passing game than a whole lot of other coaches are willing, even though I think that's the way that it is trending in the NFL. It's just something to watch out for.
All right. So moving on, we're going to talk about the Eagles running backs on Reddit. They made a post. Eagles running backs didn't get
any carries.
They had 3 carries. Now, against the Dallas Cowboys. They had more last week in week 4.
I think it was 12 total for the
Yeah,
game.
12. Lewis, you're an Eagles guy. I wish we had Jake
Yeah,
because
I
he's our
watched.
Kenny Gainwell guy.
I mean, I
But
watched both those games in entirety. I
Well,
was paying
I've
attention
got
to
just
the
as
Eagles
many
game.
shares as Kenny Gainwell as Jake does. That's all
yeah,
I'm
but
saying.
Jake's the one that hypes up his guys.
Hypes him up.
His guys only.
So what's happening a lot, at least the past 2 weeks, one, the game script has not really helped them. The Eagles defense has given up 40 points in 2 straight weeks. And the result of that is Gainwell is getting more receiving work than Sanders. What happens most of the time is Sanders will get majority of snaps, and then when the Eagles are really playing from behind in the fourth, where it's passing every play, they'll leave Gainwell in. And that's where we kind of see those touches getting even. But while the game's competitive, it's still been Sanders' majority, probably 2/3 of the time, maybe 60 to 70% Sanders. I do think for this, game script has been a big part of it because I don't know. It's just been so weird. Like, obviously, they're playing from behind the majority of these games. I wouldn't go full panic because I think both of them are very talented running backs. And I see people starting the full-on panic from them. It's just the result of, like, they played Dallas and Kansas City, and both of them were 2 extremely high-powered offenses that were scoring on nearly every drive early on. And it does also come down to Nick Sirianni. We've seen Sirianni with running backs from the Colts system, like how the Colts treat their running backs. So if your question is, like, the panic, I don't know. I'm still, if people are selling low on either of those backs, I'm buying low on both of them just because ultimately I believe in the talent at the end of the day. But the game script has kind of fucked them these past 2 weeks.
I don't think that's any excuse, though. I think that Nick Sirianni just has
No,
to
don't get
realize
me
that
wrong.
You're not
I
going to
think
win games with Jalen Hurts.
No, I think Sirianni takes a lot of fault. I'm just saying, like, what's been ended up happening. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I think that they shouldn't put the entire game on Jalen Hurts. Like, Jalen Hurts is going to end up the team's leading rusher by, like, a good margin at this rate.
Dude, Nick Sirianni has as many pens in his damn hat as he does runs
running back
in
carries.
a football freaking game.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Dude, use some of these damn pens and scheme up some runs. A little duo action. A little inside zone, maybe. Something. Hebus bejeebus, man. Like, if you're the Eagles, you are not going to be able to win football games without being able to establish the run way more so than every other team. I don't care what the data analytics says, because the data analytics crap is going to be skewed by the fact that there are teams that have Justin Herbert's and Patrick Mahomes's. They are the teams that can throw
get
the
away
ball
with
every play, and it does not matter because they're insane. Jalen Hurts ain't doing that. I don't care what the PFF grades say. I don't care what the other bullshit says. You need to run the football to have success. And until that happens, dude, I am not a huge fan of the Eagles right now. It's funny because I feel like they have the talent.
Ironically, if you look at the game, if you look at the Eagles' best game of the season against Atlanta, that's the game they ran by far. They had the most rush attempts by far out of any of the 4 games. They were able to establish a run.
It's just a weird instinct to lean on while he's not a rookie, he hasn't had.
It's his 8th start he just had. Yeah,
it's a weird instinct to lean on Jalen Hurts to try and lead you to victory against, like, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, like he's asking him to outduel Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes, and I'm just it's also too much to put on him.
I understand. I like the RPO just as much as anyone else, and I feel like, from an outside perspective, like, oh, Jalen Hurts would be a great RPO quarterback, especially because you can get him involved in the running in the RPOs. It's like, dude, clearly in that Cowboys game, this dude wants to hold on to the ball. He wants to be in space. Let's just make him a wide zone quarterback. Let's just establish the run and get him on boots and shit.
I think your issue with that too, though, is that he still is. Again, it's his 8th start where he's just not making those snap quick decisions yet that you need to in an RPO. And, that you'll get with experience if the Eagles stick with him. But, like, they're not letting him make those snap quick decisions. And that's causing, linemen to be downfield. It's just kind of screwing up the whole offense.
But at the same time, though, like, he makes really good plays when he's able to extend the play. Like, he looks downfield. You saw his best throw of the night was when he's scrambling out to the right, throws on the run, like 35 yards downfield, pinpoint touch pass. Let's enable that. Let's not just say, oh, well, sorry, Jalen, you need to make quicker decisions because we're going to be stuck in our ways and only call RPOs. Like, dude, let's tailor the game plan towards the team talents. And that's what pisses me off about the offense right now.
It's also weird to then, like, you're really trying to, like we were saying, you're trying to duel Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott. But then you're also, like, kicking field goals on, like, 4th and 3 from, like, the 10-yard line and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot
against
of,
Kansas City.
Yeah, it's a lot of,
and then they were like, I don't know, that game there were 3 touchdowns called back. And then also to the run game, it doesn't help that 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen are injured. I think the only one
every year.
I know. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, Lane Johnson wasn't injured. It was personal reasons. Brandon Brooks is out till midseason. Herbig, the other guard, I think is out for the year, and Maliata should be back any week. Jason Kelsey is the only one who is a starter who played. Obviously, that doesn't help, but I think a big part of it comes down to Sirianni just needs to be better at play calling and not asking Jalen Hurts to just outduel these like really good quarterbacks.
I'm sorry, you can't convince me that Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, and Lane Johnson aren't moving people, and you have
Lane Johnson was
out
out
there too. It's like, fuck me. You can definitely call some runs. All right, let's move on.
All right, this one's an interesting one because I'm going to give credit to Bean Counter, DF Bean Counter. We mentioned him a lot. Where I didn't agree with this at first, and he was getting a lot of slack. Where DF Bean Counter said that DJ Moore should probably be valued around the same as AJ Brown, which meant bring DJ Moore up a little bit, bring AJ Brown down a little bit. And so far, that's proven to be true. DJ Moore looked very good against one of what I would say is he's starting to become one of the top corners in Trayvon Diggs on the Cowboys. DJ Moore is produced. He's put up, crazy numbers with, well, not crazy, but he's put up, wide receiver 2 numbers with the likes of Kyle Allen or Brandon Allen, I forget which Allen, Teddy Bridgewater. Now he's got Sam Darnold, and he's actually looking like a full-fledged wide receiver 1. And that's what not 3rd and 20, sorry. What Reddit was asking. Is it safe to call DJ Moore an elite wide receiver now with Darnold at the helm? And I think the answer is,
there are not many wide receivers I'm trading DJ Moore for right now.
Yeah.
There's not. He's only 24, and I do agree with the I think he's a wide receiver 1. He's in my top 10.
Wide receiver 1, but I think that we are starting to get a little bit ahead of ourselves to a certain extent.
Well, how so? Like, what's got you hesitating on DJ Moore?
First off, I don't think that he is proven enough that he can be that Tyreek Hill level, Devontae Adams level, DeAndre Hopkins level receiver. I'm not saying that he can't be. And JT, like towards the end of the offseason, you definitely convinced me on DJ Moore. And he was a guy that, especially in redraft leagues, like I was looking to buy at his ADP. And I will agree with you that with the whole AJ Brown thing, or at least with Bean Counter. But I am not instantly going to crown him as a top 5 receiver. I think he'd be close. But I still value him more as a low-end wide receiver 1 than, I'm going to go spend the farm and trade for DJ Moore. I think now we have kind of gotten to the point where DJ Moore is being more overvalued than fairly valued.
What I can see him as, though, even though I agree he's not in that very, very like top 3 tier where we see Jamar Chase is entering, Justin Jefferson is entered, and we see guys like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. I think he can kind of be like a young Keenan Allen, where it's like he's finishing around like wide receiver 9 for multiple seasons, like somewhere in like that 7 to 11 range, where you can do that on a year-to-year basis, and that's extremely valuable, especially for someone that young.
Would you guys rather have DJ Moore or Amari Cooper?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
Would you rather have DJ Moore or CeeDee Lamb?
I'm still going CeeDee Lamb.
I think right now it's CeeDee by a little bit.
All right, that's I guess where we kind of, I don't know where they are on Keep Trade Cut rankings, but that's where I'd rather have DJ Moore than CeeDee Lamb.
They're close though. CeeDee Lamb's only.
I still think I'd rather have Calvin Ridley than DJ Moore, even though that's going to be an out of consensus take right now.
We disagreed strongly on that one a while ago. I still stand, obviously, by where I'm still on the DJ Moore side there.
I think they should be right next to each other in the rankings.
Here's another one. This one is very close for me as well, so I think it might be pointless asking. But DJ Moore or Terry McLaurin?
Scary Terry.
Oh fuck, that's tough. I'll go
right.
McLaurin,
I think
but
that
not by
Terry
much.
McLaurin, like, listen, I like DJ Moore. I think he's a great player, and I agree with Lunison that he could be one of those low end wide receiver ones for a long time. So I still value him as like a really good player, and I need to move him up in my rankings now that I'm looking at it. But to me, dude, Terry McLaurin, when I watch him, is just really freaking good. Like, dude, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I am doubling him every play. DJ Moore, I don't get that. Like, he's good, but I'm not doubling it. I will go one-on-one with him.
I find it, yeah. I just still, I don't know. I have a weird affinity for DJ Moore, but with Terry McLaurin, like, I just always go back to that Cowboys game on Thanksgiving where it's just like you put the ball in his hands, he just looked unstoppable. It was like, and that was the game where he kind of got outshined by Antonio Gibson too, because Antonio Gibson was the one scoring all the touchdowns. But
Yeah,
Terry McLaurin just like we talk about quarterback proof. Look at who Terry McLaurin's had thrown to him. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Lastly, as well, I just need to bring up the fact that let's not act like DJ Moore hasn't been with. I mean, Joe Brady right now is top 3 in every single wide receiver category since he's in any offense that he touches.
yeah.
I'm not saying that makes DJ Moore a bad player. It's something that you have to consider, especially because Joe Brady is going to be one of the top head coaching targets probably next season. I'm assuming that he's going to be getting a job. Christian McCaffrey has not been able to be healthy really the past 2 years. So, or like not 2 years, like this season and last year. So does that impact DJ Moore at all? Maybe. Terrace Marshall should be getting a little bit more involvement in the offense. Like, okay, maybe. It's just, I like DJ Moore. I'm not paying a top 5 wide receiver price for him. No shot.
Yeah, and what I think is nice about him is I still don't think you have to pay top 5. I mean, I could look it up, but I think he's more of like a fringe top 10 guy. Like,
where's he on keep trade cut? Is he wide receiver what? I'm gonna guess like 9 or 8.
Oh, who should I start this week? Adam Thielen or Kyle Pitts? That's the new keep trade cut thing.
Thielen for starting.
Yeah, I don't really care. All right, DJ Moore, wide receiver 7. Oh, he's shot up. Oh, he's valued right around. He's valued right around CD Lamb. He's like literally right below CD Lamb.
And then who's he right above?
Devontae Adams is right above him.
Damn.
And then, I didn't get the whole positional rankings, but yeah, you get the point. Right below him is AJ Brown.
Okay.
Terry McLaurin's actually below him, surprisingly. I did not think that would be a case. All right, well, maybe I was wrong. I thought he was still a good buy. It's looking like he's valued very highly. He's above Terry McLaurin, which I find surprising.
If I had DJ Moore, I would test the waters on what I could get for him. I wouldn't actively look to sell him, but if you can, I just think that this is a good scenario where you can like kind of stonk into a receiver that puts up just as much production, like a more Keenan Allen, maybe, right? Maybe he's not the best example. Maybe you try to go for someone a little bit younger, a little bit flashier, but the difference in value that you can get, because I mean, you're talking first plus value difference, right? And that's something that I would definitely be willing to do. I mean, maybe if you could even go into scary, I doubt that you can do that, but maybe there is an owner who's like, oh, dude, DJ Moore, like, because I've seen people on Twitter that they will gladly take DJ Moore over CeeDee Lamb. Well, if that's actually the case, you should be able to move him into Terry McLaurin and get something on top of that.
I think it's very league dependent, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely league dependent, 100%.
All right, Frank, you might have to guide us through this one a little bit.
Hold on really quickly, JT. What about like T. Higgins? Because T. Higgins probably has seen a little bit of a blip because of his injury. I mean, you could get a good package on top of T. Higgins.
Yeah. All right. I'm looking now. That was a good question, Frank. Because looking now, you could get T. Higgins and Rashad Bateman for DJ Moore, and
I think you could get more.
T. Higgins, Laviska. Well, you don't really like Rashad Bateman, so like Laviska Shenault and T. Higgins and Allen Robinson. T. Higgins
Damn.
and Marquise Brown.
Dude, but with the recency, early season, man, it gets finicky because the recency bias is like way more apparent earlier in the season. I feel like once you get later in the season, people, because there are more games and you see like, oh, well, everyone has good games and bad games to a certain extent, unless you're one of those truly elite guys. All of a sudden, having 2 dud weeks like CeeDee Lamb has had matters way less because you've seen, oh, well, you remember that game where he went for like 9 touchdowns, right? Like, so now is like a really good opportunity to capitalize on the recency bias. And for T. Higgins, I mean, he's only done well. Like, he's a guy that I was low on. He's proved me wrong. He's just had a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. I just tried, kind of fixing a couple trades. It looks like you could get a 2022, 2023 early second was not enough to move with T. Higgins for DJ Moore, but then a 2022 late first, 2023 late first was too much on top of T. Higgins.
Who's wide receiver 5? Because I think that's the real price that you could.
I think
if
you
I'm
said
going to sell
Devontae
him,
Adams.
Devontae Adams, I think.
Yeah,
is wide
so
receiver
plug
5.
in because I think that's the valuation you're selling him at. You're like, okay, obviously he's wide receiver 7.
That's a late first, 2023 late first.
So that's definitely something that, I mean, if I'm a stonker, I'm licking my chops at that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe DJ Moore is one of those truly elite receivers. I'm selling at wide receiver price, especially for that kind of deal.
Maybe I'm wrong on Rashad Bateman. I mean, it's yet to be seen. But like, if I could get T. Higgins and Rashad Bateman for DJ Moore,
yeah, but
that's very close.
I think,
or even like flipping like DJ Moore for like Deontay Johnson in pieces or like Claypool in pieces.
It just feels like the time is now to strike. Even though we all like DJ Moore, there is a certain level of price tag that's like, dude, I can really put my team in a really good spot. And even if the deal doesn't perfectly pan out, it's like, dude, I have good, safe assets that I transitioned into.